Good morning and happy Friday, June the 5th, the very first Friday of the month. The sun is out. It's over 20 degrees. Everyone should be in an absolutely incredible mood because it's so nice out. Today, I'm super excited. This is my jam. This is what a lot of real estate agents know about me is my ability to handle objections. Because I'm going to tell you this, it's not necessarily knowing what to say, but it's all about knowing your positioning. And I'm going to say that again. It's not always about what to say, knowing what to say. It's more about knowing your position in the objection. Welcome to another episode of No Agent Left Behind Masterclass. I am your host, your gracious host, Stephen Kim, the team lead of the Stephen Kim Group in Toronto. And today I am going to open the hood on how I handle the most common objections in not only today's marketplace, but since I've been a licensed real estate agent for the past 16 and a half years. I also want to make this interactive. So, for the people that are watching, tuning in live right now, and I just want to say thank you so much for your dedication for showing up every Friday at 10 a.m. and sharing your time with us live. I want this to be as interactive as possible. So, your objections in real time, I want you to throw it in the comments, throw it in the chat so that I can give you the blueprint on how I would navigate those objections. And again, I'm going to tell you this. It's not always about knowing what to say, but it is always knowing what your position is in the objection. So let's get right into it. Full commission masterclass. I'm going to break down the top 5 most commonly asked commission objections known to every real estate agent on the face of this planet. This is how top agents protect their fees, scripts, strategy, and certainty. What's up, Sharif? Anyone looking for an incredible property management company, make sure you reach out to my good friend Sharif Nathu. He runs CMG, phenomenal property management company. All right, let's get into it. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for everyone. Why this matters right now. The industry has shifted and it continues to shift. If you don't have language ready, you'll be negotiated down before the transaction even starts. If you do not have the appropriate vocabulary and language ready, you're going to be negotiated down even before the transaction has begun. Because the reality is this, 73% of agents, and I'm going to say this, probably closer to 90% of agents have discounted their fee at least once in the last 12 months. The average agent has lost around $8,000 to $10,000 per transaction when they fold on their fee. 1 in 3 clients now arrive having researched how to negotiate agent commission. And yes, I did this on Grok. Yes, I did this on Gemini. Yes, I did this on Claude. Yes, I did this on ChatGPT. Is to say, what are consumers using right now to ask real estate agents in the marketplace how to reduce their fees? Because I can promise you this right now, our clients are doing the same. The Post National Association of Realtors Korea reality is this: buyer agent compensation is no longer guaranteed from the listing side. Clients need education and you need clarity on value. The real problem is this: most agents discount not because the client is right, but because they don't have the words ready in the moment. They don't understand the positioning. Today, we're going to fix all of that for you. What about this? When a client asks you to discount, they're not questioning your fee. Get that through your head. When a client asks you to discount, they're not questioning your fee. What they're doing is they're testing whether or not you can negotiate because you're about to negotiate for them. And the truth is this: you're not a vendor. You carry risk, time, and fiduciary duty. If you are a listing agent, you are already in the hole money because of the investment, photos, pictures are photos, the video, the floor plan, whether it's cleaning, whatever the case may be. Even before the home comes to the market, you're already out of pocket money. So we carry risk right out of the gate. Truth number 2, folding before they object trains them to keep pushing harder. You've heard of this old adage: you give someone an inch, they're going to take a mile. This is so true in real estate. If you give an inch, they're going to ask for the mile. Truth 3 is this: your fee signals confidence. Certainty is contagious. So is doubt. I'll say that again. Your fee signals confidence. Certainty is contagious. So is doubt. The rule of three, this is how I operate. This is the rule of three. For every single objection, you got to understand this frame. Number one is the acknowledge frame, right? Validate the question without agreeing to the premise. Now, a lot of people in the very beginning of an objection is they get into defense mode, right? They get into a defense mode. This is not me against you. It is about us being on the same team, getting to the collective goal, which is what? The collective goal is not to get the cheapest commission. The collective goal is to increase net proceeds. The collective goal for the buyer is to get the property at the cheapest possible price. The commission is not up for negotiation. So acknowledge, validate the question without agreeing to the premise. To the premise. I hear you. That's a common question right now. This is such a huge hack. When someone sends you an objection, the first thing is, I hear you. That's a common question right now. That opens the door to a level of empathy. Hey, I'm on your side. I hear you. And that is a common question I've heard. The reframe is this: shift from fee to outcome. I'll say it again: shift from fee to outcome. What do they actually walk away with is the importance. What is the net proceeds? So every listing appointment, yes, you need to walk in with the seller net proceeds sheet. It's going to cost this and this and this and this. And at the end of everything on closing, this is what you will walk away with, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Because the real question is what you net at settlement. It's not about the commission. And the anchor is important. This state your fee with certainty. Then stop talking. The first to speak loses. Now, I've had countless agents come up to me and say, Steve, you always just know what to say. It's because I know what the pain points are. It's because I know that asking the right question at the right time anchors certainty. And the first to speak loses. It's okay to have a little bit of silence when you're dealing with an objection. Silence is actually a position of power because the first to speak loses. Hey, my fee is this. That's what I'm worth. And pause. So a lot of the times people will ask me, hey, coach, hey, Steve, how do you handle, will you reduce your fee? It's simple. I do not offer a discount on my service fee. So people ask me, what's the best objection handler that I give when someone asks, will you reduce your fee? It's that I just do not discount my service fee. And I pause. They tried. Good. And I applaud them for trying. I applaud my clients for trying to get a discount. It's good because I'm going to ask for a discount too as a consumer and client, but I don't. And then it dies from there. I'm going to open this a little bit bigger so people can see this. So the ask is this: will you reduce your commission on the listing? Reframe is this: this is a negotiation test before the negotiation actually starts. The agent who discounts here will discount on their home price too. I'll say it again. When they ask you to reduce your commission, they're testing you. They're testing to see how good you are at negotiating. And the agent who discounts here will absolutely discount on their home price too. The psychology is this: it costs them nothing to ask. So they're going to ask. We cannot get offended when clients ask us to reduce our commission, because I'm going to say this to you. Look at yourself in the mirror. You do the same thing. You may not always do it in real estate, but I promise you, you're asking for reductions in fees and discounts and whatever to a bunch of people. It costs them nothing to ask. Everything you give away tells them to keep pushing. You give an inch, they're going to take a mile. Here's the script, word for word. I understand. Let me ask you something first. Now, if a buyer came in $20,000 below your asking price, would you want me to fold immediately or fight hard for every dollar? We already know the answer to that. It's essentially trapping them in the corner because we know that they're going to say, well, obviously we want you to fight hard for us. That's why we're hiring you. And this is the reframe. This is how you really kind of like bring it home. My commission is the very first negotiation in this transaction, and I do not discount. And that's exactly the kind of agent you want sitting across from a buyer. I'll say it again. My commission is the very first negotiation in this transaction. I do not discount. Share with me, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Isn't that exactly the kind of agent you want sitting across from a buyer? What about this one? And I train my team on this right now. I'm team is so good at handling this objection. Hey, will you reduce your commission? Here's another one, how we handle this. Can I ask you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, when it comes time for you to hire a dominant listing agent, what's the one quality you're looking for? And I'll tell you this right now, in my 16 and a half years of experience of doing real estate, listing lots and lots of homes, I've never once had a seller say, I'm only going to choose an agent that provides me the cheapest commission. I've never heard anyone say that. But what are the common answers to it? I want someone who's going to get me the results. I want someone who's a neighborhood, who's knowledgeable about the neighborhood. I want someone who's got a vast network. I want someone who's going to market it properly. I want someone who's going to get me top dollar. Never have I ever heard anyone say, I'm going to choose an agent that's the cheapest. State your fee with certainty and no trailing off. What makes you feel that's negotiable? If they push, like if they're like, no, but truly, like I want to see if you can, give me 1% or even 0.5%. And I simply say, what makes you feel that my service fee is actually negotiable? And then pause. That is a position of power that requires confidence. After the script, go silent. That is so important. I can't stress that enough. Go silent. They need time to register what you just shared with them in a confident manner. The first to speak loses that negotiation. Never apologize for your fee. I never do. I never do. Next, will you cover the cost of staging out of your commission? This is a big one. Lately, on a lot of listing appointments I've gone on, sellers are saying, well, yeah, I've interviewed some other agents and they're going to throw in this and this and this and this and this, right? And staging always comes up. Staging is not my service. I'm not a stager. I would be the worst possible stager. What I do say is it's their investment in their own outcome. Absorbing it trains clients to keep chipping away. The moment you start throwing the kitchen sink and throwing this service in and throwing this service in, what you're doing is you're training your client to then expect for you to throw more services in that you essentially absorb. This is an investment on your end. And the psychology is this: staging returns anywhere from about $3 to $5 for every dollar spent. Frame it as their investment and ownership shifts back to where it belongs, which is to them, right? So when I kind of break down the math and I look at kind of what staging costs have costed my clients over the course of the last decade, it's around $3 to $5. So a $5,000 stage will net you 15 to 25,000 extra dollars. And you all know that this is true. You all know as agents, staging works. Let's stop absorbing the cost. That's not my cost. That's the seller's investment to make that money. So one of the things is, someone maybe is pushing really, really hard. I will simply throw this out and say, what I know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is that for every dollar in staging, the ROI is about $3 to $5. If I commit to the $4,000 or $5,000 in staging, are you okay that I then collect the ROI of $3 to $5 for every dollar I've put in? And watch how they just get really quiet. And this is why I ask for us to work as a team and for you to commit to this investment. This isn't a cost I absorb. It's an investment you make in your own result. I project manage every detail and keep costs lean. That's what they're looking for. The return comes back to you at settlement. So it should come from your side of the ledger. Bring a specific ROI number from your local market. Have a trusted stager to refer to give them a solution. Offer to fully manage it. That's what they want. Sellers do not want to deal with another thing on their plate. This is your value add. And then simply ask them, share with me, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what budget are you comfortable with when it comes to a staging investment? This gives them control, which is important. The third most common objection that I get: will you give a kickback? Now, when I say third most common objection I get, it's going to be the third most common objection I hear. And this is not me trying to be like braggalicious or anything like that. I do not get objections when I sit across from a seller or a buyer. I just do not anymore, because I come with facts and I lean in with confidence in my position. And people understand that. So will you give us a kickback or rebate if we buy through you, right? The reframe is this: a kickback gives a few $100s, a few $1,000s once. That's it. Your negotiation saves them tens of thousands on price, terms, and timeline. The psychology is this: often planted by articles or discount brokerages. Find the source, educate calmly, then make the math undeniable. This is where the data works. And my good friend Sharon talks about this. It's proof over promise. Show the client the last sale or the best sale that you've had, where even a full 1, 2, Heck, you listed the house for free. The full 2.5, 3% went directly all to them. And still, through your negotiations and marketing and process, would netted the seller even more money or would save the buyer more money. So again, I hear you. We want to get on the same page with them. I hear you. And here's what I'd offer instead: something worth significantly more than any rebate. And so you may want to ask them the question, hey, I hear you. Here's what I'd offer instead: something worth significantly more than any rebate, which is my access, my relationship with listing agents, and my negotiation that typically saves buyers anywhere from $15,000 to $40,000, which is significantly more than any kickback. Let me prove this through results, not by discounting before we even started. Have a real example ready. You all have an example ready where you saved a buyer money. You all have done that. And then just break down the math. If you save someone $10,000 and if they ask for a kickback of like a 1% reduction, you're still saving them more money. Give them math, educate them, proof over promise. Who told you to ask for that? Unpack the source. Ask what they value most: speed, off market, or price. What about this one? I got a lower quote from another agent. Can you match it? The reframe is this: a lower fee does not mean a better deal. Net proceeds at settlement is the only number that matters. The outcome is what matters, not the discount. The psychology is this: they're anchoring low to pull you down. Counter with a better anchor: net proceeds. The fee comparison becomes irrelevant. I'll say that again. The fee comparison becomes irrelevant when you show them a better anchor, which is your ability to get them more, which is the net proceeds. Here's the script. Hey, I'm sure they did. And I encourage you to ask them this one question: what is your average sales price as a percentage of list price? SP to LP for all my TREB members. Sale price to list price ratio. What is it? Take a most recent sale and show them how you are better than the board average. Everyone watching, everyone listening right now in real time has had at least one sale in their entire real estate career be better than the board average. Lean in on that and then show the sellers as to how you manage to get those results. Here, a 1% saving on commission means nothing if they net you $20,000 less on your home. The only number that matters and the only number I want you to pay attention to, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is the walking away net proceeds at settlement. That's where I compete. That's where I win. That's where I'm really, really good. That's who you hire. Have your own sale to list ratio ready. Cite it specifically. Show them the sheets of you selling properties. And if you're like, well, you're listening, you're watching, you're like, Steve, I haven't sold anything, then use your brokerage for that. If you're a part of Real, use Real. Use any one of us as a statistic to support you in that. Never trash the competitor. That is a big, big no-no. Never, ever, ever talk poorly about any other agent. That shows a high level of insecurity. I'll say it again. I hear agents like, well, I'm sure they did discount because that's the only thing that they can do, right? Right? Don't do that. That is a red flag. That signals insecurity. Instead, hit them with value, train them on what they should be focusing in on, which is the net proceeds comparison, right? And what about this one? Hey, can I just ask, what else did they offer that I didn't offer? And then expose the gap, right? Expose the gap. And I always equate this back to like, those infomercials. Buy right now and it's not going to be $199, it's going to be $19.99. And if you buy in the next 10 seconds, we're going to throw in this and we're going to throw in this and we're going to throw in this. What did we start to think? We're like, you know what? This product must be pretty crappy if what they have to do is incentivize it by giving and giving and giving. And I remind people that, and some of you, that's going to be the light bulb moment. But like, that's right, Steve. I remember watching that in the 90s, right? Early 2000s, where they were just throwing tons of stuff. Yeah, that stuff was garbage. Remind our clients, educate our clients that the agents are throwing everything at them and giving everything away. My question is this: how good do you think they're actually going to be when it matters the most, especially on one of the largest financial commitments of your life? What about this? We're selling and buying with you. What's the combined discount? Or will you give a discount if we buy and sell with you? What about this? No, it's double the work. Why would you discount your commission? You're doing twice the work. I'll say it again. Why would you even contemplate thinking about discounting your commission? You're doing double the work. You should be paid accordingly. The reframe is this: 2 transactions equals double the work and liability. I say that to everyone. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if I bring in the buyer and they'll say, well, will you reduce your commission? I don't, because I assume a liability on both ends now. You both are able to sue me. I leave the door open to both of you to come after me in litigation if I screw up, which I won't. Why would I reduce my fee to take on a higher risk? Nuh-uh, not in business. That earns a service upgrade, not a fee cut for me to do that. If I take on double the liability, I'm going to charge you more. Psychology is this: loyalty deserves a reward. I'll say it again: loyalty deserves a reward. And I can say this with absolute confidence. Every single person that I've worked with, I've never given a reduction in my fee unless I've wanted to do that. And in my career, it's been less than, I think, 3 or 4 times. So even if it's my cousins, even if it's a best friend, I do not offer discounts because you know what you're going to get in working with me. Redirect to priority service, access, and timeline management. I'll say it again. Redirect them to priority service, access, and timeline management. So I'm going to answer this in real time. So again, this is a live session. If you have objections, throw them in now because I want to handle them together. Jenny says, I would like to use my previous agent that I used to buy my house because they already know everything about this house to sell it. Can I just use you on the buying side? Amazing. So this is a good one. This is a good one. And so what I'll say in this instance is because I want your listing, and my team has heard me do this and get the listing. Hey, Jenny, I'm sure you're a lot like me, right? In that you do want to respect the relationship that you have with your agents and your friends and family. I totally get that. But let me ask, would you find it valuable or beneficial to at least get a second opinion of value? No one says no to that. Every single person who owns a property always wants a second, third, fourth opinion of value because what they're trying to do is they're trying to price shop around. They want to see what agent will bring them the best price. The reason why that's such a great objection handler is because it gets your foot through the door. And you and I both know you are way better in person than you are on text, phone, or email. Hey, so Jenny, I'm sure you're a lot like me in that you want to respect the relationship that you have with your realtor, family member, whatever the case may be. And I don't want to step on any toes. Would you find it beneficial or valuable if I just stop by and give you a second opinion of value? Guess what? They always say yes to that. Now, your foot's in the door, and this is where you blow them away with your preparation and confidence in your listing presentation. Because I know this: the moment I get into the door in front of a seller, I have the listing. I have the listing. I'm gonna get the listing. Your job is to get the appointment. Cool. Can I just use you on the buy side? Absolutely, you can. But again, the reframe is to try to also get the listing. Okay. Great objection. If you have more, throw them in the chat because this is a masterclass. This is what I live, eat, and breathe are the objection handlers. The psychology behind every objection. And this is an important one. I want everyone to understand the psychology behind every objection. Can we please, in 2026, please do me this favor? Can we stop being so defensive around an objection? It's worth the ask. Why not? You as a consumer on the other end, you would ask the same thing. Every commission objection comes from one of 3 places. Know this. It's know the source, know exactly how to respond without flinching. And here it is. Number 1 is the test. They want to know if you'll fight for their interests. Folding on your fee is the loudest signal that you won't hold your position. That is the audition. That's the first audition. So no, right there, you do not. What about this? The misinformation. They read a headline or got bad advice. Yeah, okay, that's like every single client we deal with, right? Every agent right now, Toronto GTA, you with me on that one? You feel the pain, right? They believe agents don't earn their fee. Your job is calm, data-backed education, not defensiveness. The cost control. They're budget conscious and optimizing every dollar. Show them why discounting the fee costs far more than settlement than it ever saves. The agent who responds to every objection with patience, data, and certainty wins the listing, wins trust, and never leaves money on the table. Theirs or their clients. Patience, data, and certainty. Okay, I'm going to we have a number of objections coming in. Sedge Parks asks, what if we base your commission on your performance? For example, if we can get more than $1 million, you get full commission, but if it's less than, it's reduced. Hey, Sedge, what a great question to ask, and what a great outcome if this was how I operate my business. Can I ask you, though, and this is the reframe, For every $10,000 I get you over $1 million, can we split that 50-50? Pause. Because now it's like, oh, shoot, this guy's confident. This girl's confident. Does this mean that, hey, that I know that they're going to get over a million, or there's a good chance they're going to get over a million? The psychology is this. They now think, okay, shoot, that's not how I expected them to respond, but they're now asking for 50% of the profit for every $10,000 over a million. And it's the question. Hey, I totally get it, Sedge, and what a great question to ask. Let me ask you this question though. For every $10,000 I get over $1 million on your home, can we split that 50-50? That crushes the objection because now they're like, I don't want to do that anymore. Right? Of course, commission gone. They don't think about, well, what happens if it reduced? And I'll say, but my job is to get you more than that. So can we go 50-50 when I get you more? I didn't say if I get you more. I said when I get you more. Commission handled. Toronto Home Search says the issue I'm running into is that prominent teams who do a lot of business and have success do so much volume that they're coming in at a reduced rate with staging and etc. Okay, amazing, amazing. So that's a great one, right? So teams obviously have the resources and the infrastructure in place to provide more. The challenge is just because you're a big team and successful does not mean that you're profitable. So how would I reframe this to be like, yeah, you know what? The number one team in the GTA is offering free staging and doing all of this. But what I can promise you is this: what they're not offering you is they're not offering you white glove one-to-one service. So when I step in and I list your home, you talk directly with me. The feedback comes from me. The negotiating comes from me. The support, the leaning in on comes from me. And I can guarantee that doesn't come from mega teams or big teams. So we want to understand what they're talking about. But we want to understand what the pain point is. Because if you don't understand pain point, you're never going to get them across the finish line. But again, this all goes back to what's the most important? The net proceeds, right? That's what I'm going to train my clients to focus in on is the net proceeds, right? So big teams doing a lot of business, a lot of success. That's great. Where can you lean in on? Be like, you know what? Let's actually talk about the net proceeds, my SP to LP ratio, what I'm able to do in the past few transactions, show them. Most importantly, though, is your white glove concierge service, the one-to-one service that they're going to get with you. When you sign with me, you list with me, you get me 24/7. Becker says, if we can get X, we won't be interested to sell. Amazing. Awesome. And most of us have internal dialogue be like, you're out to lunch. What are you talking about at that price? Don't do that. Instead, ask them this. So, okay, I'm going to give you an example. So a house is $1 million. You know it's going to sell for $1 million, but they want 1.3 million. Okay, so let me just lay out the scenario, and I'll simply ask, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, can I ask where did you come up with $1.3 million? And they're going to list out a laundry list of all the things that they've done. Amazing, amazing. And so I'm going to share with you based on everything that we just talked about, comparable 1, 2, and 3, and what the market is doing. And this is where you got to lean in with the data, the proof, not your opinion, but proof. Your neighbor sold at $1 million, your other neighbor sold at $1,025,000, and your other neighbor sold at $989,000. All similar homes in the area. Can I ask you though, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, as a buyer, would you actually overpay $300,000 more for the same house, and then you stop talking? Right? So number one, you want to know how they came up with the number. And so let them talk, right? And then the next frame is this. So can I just ask, how did you come up with the number? Great. And they're going to tell you, da, 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 da. This is an important one, Becker. Can you share with me, what does that number mean to you? And this happened last year on a listing that I took on a townhome. Perfect example, listed with another agent, and it was listed at over $1.2 million, right? And it sat and it sat and sat and it terminated after 8.5 months. I come in and I say, your townhome is actually going to sell around just over $1 million, like $1,025,000 at tops. Ended up selling for like $1,022,000. But I simply asked them this question, same thing. What is that number? How did you come up with the number of $1,002,000? Da, da, da. And I said, simply, what does that number mean to you? And they told me, they're like, well, we went to Scotiabank and they said that if we get $1,002,000, we can then buy the detached house in Aurora for $1,600,000. And I was like, oh, that's the disconnect. And I simply asked them, and I said, well, if I could find you that detached home for like 1.4.5, maybe 1.5, would you list at my price? And they're like, yeah, we just want to make sure that the numbers make sense. And then who got the listing and who sold it? We did. Right? So don't get defensive and be like, you're out to lunch. Simply, how did you come up with the number? What does the number mean to you? And then solve it. Angie says, I'm already losing X amount on the sale of my house. Are you able to lower your service fee to 1% commission? That's a big one. I hear this one a lot. So that's a great one, Angie. So I'm already losing X amount on the sale of my house. Are you able to lower your service fee to 1% commission? This is where you prove to them, hey, let me just remind you, or let's just revisit the net proceeds sheet, because I want to know, where you feel like you're losing the money, and literally put the net proceeds sheet out in front of them. At the end of the day, Mr. Seller, you're the one in the driver's seat. You're the one that gets to make the decision. But from the very beginning, I did share with you that my service fee is never it's a non-negotiable, right? Non-negotiable. Now, this I don't experience very often because, again, not being braggalicious, not trying to be cocky or anything, I always get my seller what's expected from the very first chat. I set the expectation, hey, it's going to sell in and around this price range, and it always sells in and around this price range. If you're not able to have that type of honest dialogue, educational dialogue with your client, don't take the listing then. Because if they don't agree to what you believe it's going to sell for, or what you know it's going to sell for, you're going to have to deal with this. So, hey, Steve, you said it was going to sell for $1 million and it sold for $950, right? That's a tough one because now you promised something and you weren't able to deliver. So there's a whole concept, under promise, over deliver. Not saying that this is what we do, but do the homework. Really understand what the market is going to give that seller in terms of a price. Give a range, and make sure they're on your side. And if they're not going to take it, they're like, Tom said it was going to be this, and Sally said it was this, and Amric said it was going to be this, and it's way higher than you. Don't take the listing because you know that they're just trying to buy that listing. So we got to get on the same page from the very beginning that the house is going to sell within this range, and then it's your job to fulfill on that promise. Okay. Becker says we'd rather wait for the market to go back up. It's a buyer's market, not great to sell right now. Okay, amazing. Can I share? Can I simply ask? Right, you're going to wait for the market to go back up. How much more are you hoping the market to go back up in? Pause. Let them answer. Great. Remind me again. What's the reason for the move? That's the pain point, right? If all they're trying to do, and Becker, this just sounds like they're just trying to time the market. Then don't sell right now. That's the honest dialogue. If you're trying to time the market, don't sell it right now. But if you need to move because of X, Y, and Z, here, let me show you the plan of how we're helping all of our sellers do that in this type of a market, right? Because you want to really know what the objection is right now. So if they're trying to time the market because they want to increase net proceeds and that's the only objective, then don't sell right now. Because you're right, this is not the market, because the market is starting to pick back up, and you can try to gamble in time it, like, in 12, 18, 24 months. You want to know what the motivation here is, a Becker. You want to know what the pain point is, right? And so if they're just trying to time the market for increased net proceeds, this isn't the time. But if you need to move for a reason, let me show you how I'm doing that successfully with all my sellers. Okay, great objections. Absolutely love that. So we went over the psychology behind every single one of the objections. Hey, this is price versus value, right? The fee conversation is never about fee. It's always about the outcome. A cheap agent says this: accepts first offer to avoid conflict. A cheap agent, no staging strategy, listed as is. A cheap agent saves 1% on commission up front, sells 3 to 5% below market average. Longer days on market and price reductions. Net result: client loses $18,000 to $30,000. Here's what a top agent does: negotiates hard, holds price under pressure. Staging adds $10,000 to $30,000 perceived value. Charges full professional fee. Sells at or above list price consistently. Shorter time on market, cleaner contracts. Net result: client walks away with significantly more. And I got to reiterate, I got to really emphasize this point. Can we stop taking overpriced listings? Right? There's no value in taking an overpriced listing. You and I both know it's going to cause you stress. It's going to cause your seller stress. And most importantly, it's going to strain your relationship with your client. If they're not going to list to where you know that it's going to sell at, don't take the listing. If they're not going to listen to you, don't take the listing. Because you and I both know, you get that feeling in your gut that you take this overpriced listing and you're working with this type of seller, it's only going to be a headache for you, and it's only going to ensure that you're out of pocket more money. So let's stop doing that in this market. Sale to list ratio. This is an important one. Your average sale price is a percentage of list price. The single number destroys the cheaper agent. argument faster than anything you can say. I'll say it again. The sale to list ratio. So they want to reduce their commission by 1%, 2%. The single number that can destroy that is your sale to list ratio. Enough said, because it's about net proceeds. What about days on market? Your average versus the market average. Faster sales mean less carrying costs, less stress, and that has real dollar value your clients can feel, right? And it doesn't mean that, let's say you had a listing you recently sold, it took 45 days to sell, but Treb average is 34 days, right? Show some of the other listings that you've sold in less than 34 days. The fall through rate, this is a big one. What percentage of your deals actually close? A discount agent who closes a deal costs the seller weeks of remarketing and significant price erosion. I'll say it again. What percentage of your deals are actually closing? That's an important one, especially last year. Living through the real estate market last year, this was a big one. It was something like 33% of listings taken last year by Treb did not sell. They fell through, right? That's not a good statistic, and you can use that. And I know Sedge uses that a lot on his listing presentations. Comment below, comment on this video when it's uploaded onto YouTube, and I'll send you the full cheat sheet, a one-page PDF, and I'll send it to you. Every objection covered today, plus the exact scripts on what to say to overcome them. Own your value. Can we all do this? Top agents don't just know their market, they know their worth. I'll say it again. You got to know your worth. Prepare your language before you're in the room. The agent who has words ready always wins. Welcome, or sorry, congratulations. You made it all the way to the end to the masterclass on objections. I love objections because I love solving people's problems. And in this market, in any market, it is the same objections, whether it's a seller or a buyer, it's the same objections. But do not make this mistake. Do not take what I shared with you today and simply practice on a client. What I'd love for you to do is rewatch this, comment scripts on the video. I'll send you the one-page cheat sheet and practice with the role play partner. You got to practice weekly. You got to know when to say. You got to know when to drop the question. You got to know when to pause and pivot. But always understand, for a seller, it's about net proceeds. It's not about your commission. For a buyer, it's about the process and the negotiating, not the reduction on your fee. Once you know that, and once you truly understand that, you now come from a position of power. We do not discount our fees because we always know the results we get for our clients. It's still a beautiful Friday. Get out there, enjoy the weather. The market is buzzing. Sales activity is increasing. There's more confidence in the market, and there is an incredible amount of optimism. Your first 5 months do not define your next 7 months in real estate. I'll say it again. Your first 5 months, no matter how bad or crappy they were, does not define your business for the rest of 2026. You are in control of this. I'll say it again. You are in control of your business. This Friday, June 5th, this is the wake-up call. This is the wake-up call for you to take charge in your business, use these scripts, keep more of your money, and keep hustling like the beasts that you are. You all know the drill on a Friday. Be great, be kind to everyone, and have a fantastic weekend. Peace.